I want to share with you my thoughts about the Sony ZV-E10 and the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. Individually, I think they're awesome. I really do. Even today in 2025, when the ZV-E10 has another edition or another camera that's taking its place eventually, but they still sell both the original one and the Mach 2, I guess you would call it. They're awesome cameras from what I see. So I've been using this camera since December 2023, and I've had the Sigma 16mm since December 2022. I had that initially on the Sony 6500, which awesome camera. It just had some features that the ZV-E10 was just better in it. Okay, so to the point, the 16mm lens is a very nice lens. It's sharp, but for my framing that I really like on my videos, it's a little too wide for my taste and for my setup. More so for my setup when I'm stationary, the composition. So if you look at this video right now, I'm pleased with the shape that I am. And when I mean the shape, I mean each lens, as it gets wider, there's a certain distortion that takes place. And because I want to feel the frame more so with me than the background, on the 16mm lens, I look abnormal, not quite normal when I'm looking at the video for myself. Now this is a little nitpicky. If I was to back further away from the lens, it'd be totally fine. But again, I'm only talking about what I'm using this lens for. And I think that's what's missing in some of the other reviews I've seen. They've done awesome jobs, but you need to have an idea of what you're going to use this lens for. If you're going to do, say for instance, some type of event videos, or if you're doing a talking head video, those are going to be two different needs. You have to find a choice, but my recommendation would be something a little larger than 16mm, 16mm, even on a APS-C sensor size. So this 16mm is pretty much the equivalent of 24mm, and that f1.4 is more like a what is it, 2.2, I think it is. I'll try to put it down somewhere, but anyway, the lens overall, great lens. I just prefer something a little larger than 16mm. For instance, right now what I'm filming this video on is with the ZV-E10, but I'm also using the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 lens, and I think 28mm, somewhere about there. But I like the way this lens presents for this setup. So if I may say it this way, from the back wall to the sensor of the camera, it's about, say, 9 feet. Since I'm recording on the ZV-E10, I'm going to use this as prop. Okay, they marketed more of a vlogger's camera, but you can do different types of videos with it. The downside of the ZV-E10 is that you don't have, well, you do have in-body stabilization, but the in-body stabilization isn't as good as, say, this camera or another camera that's more so for videos. And also, when you use the in-body stabilization on the ZV-E10, it crops in about 1.44. So that 16mm lens starts cropping in and getting smaller. So now, if you're trying to use it to vlog with, or to walk around handheld, that even the 16mm lens starts getting even smaller, whereas you have to hold it much further out away from you. But if you're putting it on feet or legs or sticks, whatever you want to call it, on a tripod, it may not be an issue for you. And then again, you won't need the stabilization. So you got the stabilization, that's a drawback. What else? I want to tell you the bad things about it. Now, I'm telling you the bad things, but I love the camera. What else do we have that's a handheld? In active stabilization, when it crops in, there's something different about how it focuses. The focus isn't as good from what I'm seeing if you're in that stabilization mode. it's like you lose the eye autofocus or it's degraded or something. But besides that, I'm really hard pressed to find really any type of issues with it. Now these are for my needs. Now what do I use this camera for? Usually when I'm using this camera, I'm using it on some type of tripod, even if it's my main tripod or if it's on a tabletop tripod. I'm really impressed with it. So for me though, would I purchase the 16mm lens again? Would I purchase the ZV-E10 again? Matter of fact, I would purchase the ZV-E10, the original one, again if I was to start all over again. As far as this lens, probably not. Again, it's not because it's anything wrong with the lens. There's nothing wrong with the lens. It's really my needs. If you can, and you're in this position, try renting a lens first. Try renting a nice zoom lens first and use it. Use it as much as you can. Don't just rent it and use it once or twice and think you have an idea of what you want. Use the lens as much as you can. Record whatever you can around, even if it's handheld, if it's on a tripod. Record and look at the footage. See where you set your zoom at and what you recorded the most. If you're setting up to do a YouTube setup of some sort, or a video setup of some sort for yourself, look and see where you're setting your camera up, where you're setting your lights at, the distance between you and the background or whatever's in the background, and see if you can make that separation more so with lights as opposed to having to rely on a low aperture. And you may be surprised that you can get away with a 2.8 or even the 4.0 lens just as well. Now, every lens will have its drawback. I'll be remiss to tell you that. I will say that again. Every lens will have its drawback. Something that you like or don't like about the lens, or the camera body for that matter. So understand that they are tools. And a lot of times we get the things that we try to, I guess, marry them, I guess you would say, that we think this is going to be our forever tool. Well, it may just need to go on the shelf and you find the right time to pull it back out. But I would recommend that you get a zoom lens and try that zoom lens as opposed to just picking this because a lot of people say, hey, this is the lens to get. And it may be for you. But then again, you may need to go 2mm higher to get that composition that you really like, that you really want, so that you can focus on the lens and presenting your information as opposed to, I really don't like that composition. Well, anyway, I hope that was helpful. God bless, take care. Grab your camera, go create, okay? You got this. I guess I still need to give you a lens recommendation though. Around the same price point of the Sigma 16mm, I would recommend something like the Sigma 18 to 50mm f2.8. Now, at the time of this, I'm recording this video, that lens goes for like $4.99. It may be, I think it's $5.99. It's on sale right now for $4.99. But that would be a good alternative because it has a focal length of 18mm up to 50, which is the equivalent of 27 to 75mm. And again, you can finalize what focal length you use more within that range and simply get the prime that fits that for your particular need. Now, once you do that, you're going to quickly find out that the one thing that can improve your videos or your photography is get your camera, go crazy, and go create. You got this. I believe in you. God bless. Take care.